Hello and welcome. My name is Glenn Cheriton, and I'm a father and grandfather in Ottawa, Canada. I'm also president of a national parent advocacy nonprofit, Canadian Equal Parenting Council. I'm here to talk about the Canadian government's pandemic responses and the harms that government responses may have done to Canadian parents and their children. As advocates for parents, Canadian Equal Parenting believes that our organization should promote, organize, and lead input from parents about the effects that government pandemic responses have had on parents, families, and children. To keep this short, I will review some of the major effects that parents tell us that government actions have made on their lives. First, government forced the shutdown of many businesses, which left working parents, now jobless, struggling financially, while government shutdown of schools meant parents had to take over teaching roles with little or no help in lesson plans, no financial assistance, and few effective supports. Second, the government shutdown of family courts left separated parents struggling to work out shared parenting arrangements. Government court shutdowns blocked enforcement actions against withholding of parenting time and added an additional incentives for sole custody against the best interests of our children. Thirdly, extensive government shutdown of travel between provinces blocked many parents from their court-ordered time with their children, while providing an advantage to litigious unbalanced custodians to sabotage arrangements or move away against the interests of children. There is a fourth major issue of government financial actions against parents during the pandemic. While students had their government-enforced student loan payments deferred or suspended, governments refused child support paying parents any similar deferrals or suspensions of payments. Rather, state bureaucrats piled on fines, fees, and surcharges for infractions, even if caused by pandemic resultant joblessness or income loss. Delayed or deficient child support payments are caused primarily by poverty, not by parent evasion. We at Canadian Equal Parenting receive complaints of parents being jailed for non-payment of support through no fault of their own. Regarding the parents who participated or supported the February 2022 Ottawa protests, some needed their jobs in bank accounts, which the government blocked or suspended. They needed it to pay child support or provide food for their children, but governments made no provision or considerations for those parental needs. These many harms by government against parents may have been unintentional, but were done with essentially no consultation with parents or parent advocates and little thought to ameliorating these harms, which targeted parents. It bears noting that extensive and varied mental, physical, and emotional harms to children are now documented in social science literature studying the effects of the government shutdowns on kids. Such research suggests that the harms of the shutdowns for children were much greater than the benefits and safety from COVID vaccines, as the COVID risk to children is much lower than to adults or seniors. Governments saddled parents with the time, effort, and costs of dealing with child disadvantages caused by government shutdowns, yet no government has any initiative to help parents to deal with the problems governments have created. No Canadian government has recognized parents as stakeholders on pandemic issues or collaborates with parent advocates to develop solutions, in spite of repeated requests from parent advocacy organizations such as ourselves, Canadian Equal Parenting. The collaboration we seek is not unprecedented. The federal government collaborated with Indigenous organizations and parents on fixing the problems Indigenous children had with underfunded services. Essentially, they reversed the onus so that services had to be based on the needs and background of the child rather than the convenience of experts and bureaucrats. So, what could those solutions we proposed look like? Here are some parent-initiated proposals. First, we as parent advocates have recommended that the government should recognize parents as stakeholders and collaborate to ensure initiatives do not exclude or penalize parents. we parents ask that government recognize the special needs of parents with additional parenting loads, home teaching, and supportive children during a pandemic. The government has mostly shut down parent policy consultations during the pandemic, while keeping special access for vested interests, such as the legal profession and ideological feminists. During the pandemic, it became much more difficult for parents to consult with and influence government policies and initiatives. Canadian Equal Parenting asks that existing biased single-gender, sole custody, legal and parent support funding be shared with inclusive, shared custody, and conflict resolution parent supports. The government's pandemic increases in funding to one side, the adversarial side, in family law cases advantages the coercive, controlling, and litigious parent, while harming and disadvantaging Canada's children. Next, Canadian Equal Parenting asks that government child benefits should not discriminate by sex. As the Auditor General recommended, we ask that the government extend the Canada Child Benefit so that fathers and parents whom bureaucrats do not identify as female be equally eligible for this major parenting benefit. The government, particularly the federal government, used the COVID-19 pandemic to increase funding and advantage to a divisive, apartheid-style anti-parent ideology that made parenting more difficult, more costly, and more inaccessible during the pandemic. The costs of this dysfunctional system, the money borrowed, will be saddled onto our children and our grandchildren without their consent. This is generational unfairness, as well as unfair to parents, saddled with a family law and government system that exploits parents for profit by vested interests. I have more information about equal parenting solutions, the problems caused by the existing system, on the website of Canadian Equal Parenting, canadianepc.org, where interested parents and supporters can sign up for our free mailing list. Thank you.